You're now rocking with the best.
With the first pick in the 2002 NBA Draft, the Houston Rockets select Yao Ming from Shanghai, China, and the Shanghai Sharks.
The announcement that the Houston Rockets had selected Yao Ming as the number one draft pick in the 2002 NBA Draft was not met with much enthusiasm in the United States. Though he was not the first Chinese national to be selected in the NBA Draft, that distinction belongs to Wang Zhizhi. It was the first time in NBA history that a person of Chinese ethnicity was selected first overall. Perhaps the only thing more shocking than Yao Ming being picked first overall was the seemingly sudden emergence of a massive Chinese basketball fan base. However, what most of the general American public was not aware of at the time was that the history of basketball in China is nearly as old as it is in the United States. In China, the game of basketball was used as more than just entertainment. It is a sport that has evolved with the modernization of China and served as a medium for political negotiations, a lens through which cultural values are expressed, and now also as a means for generating revenue. In the mid-19th century, China was at the mercy of Western powers. Following multiple military defeats, China realized a need for self-strengthening in order to compete with the West. Though much of the emphasis was placed on becoming more technologically dominant, improvement in physical strength was also highly touted. This was an opportunity for missionaries of the Young Men's Christian Association to promote physical education and Western practices in China. After basketball's invention in 1891 in Springfield, Massachusetts by James Naismith, YMCA missionaries brought the game with them to China less than 5 years later. The game quickly caught on with college students first, then increasingly gained popularity as part of physical education programs. Mao Zedong was a known supporter of basketball, his influence remaining today in the form of an oddly placed basketball court in the Great Hall of the People in Beijing. During his rule, basketball became associated with nationalistic ideals and was used as a medium for political negotiation. Throughout the 1950s, Mao sent the Chinese national basketball team to compete in various communist countries such as the Soviet Union, Romania, Hungary, Yugoslavia, and Poland, with the goal to improve international relations. Following Mao Zedong's death, China experienced a great period of opening reform and a push towards better international relations under the leadership of Deng Xiaoping. Similar to the ping-pong diplomacy, Deng used basketball games to help forge diplomatic ties between Washington and Beijing by hosting the Washington Bullets basketball team in 1979. The Chinese national team did not present much of a challenge to the Bullets, yet despite the final score, this game was hailed as a success in China because of its achievement as a diplomatic mission. My grandfather was the head coach of the Chinese national basketball team from 1978 to 1988. During his 10-year career, basketball came to represent more than just a diplomatic mission. It also came to reflect the strength of China as a whole. The result of basketball games began to matter more, especially in international play such as the Olympics. To many foreign countries, watching the Chinese basketball team play was their only notion of who or what China was. This put increased pressure on the team to represent China well. Games won were seen as a reflection to the strength of China, and any games lost were thought to be embarrassing for the nation. During his stint as head coach, my grandfather met many foreign dignitaries because China used the sport as an unofficial means for political diplomacy. The rapid economic development and modernization in China has transformed basketball in China into an imported consumer product. In 1987, David Stern and the NBA agreed to give CCTV full broadcasting rights absolutely free of charge. This was one of the NBA's smartest financial decisions because it set the foundation for tapping a massively growing market. The growing interest in the NBA was evident in Yao Ming's first game against Shaquille O'Neal in 2003, where about 200 million people watched the game in China. Sensing the potential for even more growth, in 2008 the NBA set up a subsidiary known as NBA China. This subsidiary has a net worth of $2.3 billion as stated by the New York Times. 2012, television and digital rights to NBA games in China generated $150 million of revenue, and revenue in China is expected to continue to grow at almost 10% annually, according to Bloomberg Business. Media influence has been the predominant driving force for continued basketball consumerism. Athletes such as Yao, Kobe, LeBron, and Shaq are treated as superstars by the media. Their media presence also helps drive advertising of the NBA in China. The NBA logo is now visible among different consumer products in China, such as beer and milk. From a cultural perspective, Chinese infatuation with brands licensed with the NBA is a result from years of viewing NBA basketball and understanding it as the best league for competition. Basketball has played an important part in Chinese history and continues to be adapted to match fluctuations in an ever-changing global market.